Hi everyone, back again with me, Teacher Abiatun. Let's continue our class today with the topic 8.3 Gaseous Exchange in Humans. So, before we start the class, let me introduce to you guys our guest for the class today, Queen Bee. Hi Queen Bee.
Hi teacher.
Nice to meet you. Are you ready for the class today?
Yes.
So, before we start, these are the learning outcomes for this topic. Students are able to communicate about external and internal respiration. The first one, gaseous exchange between lungs and blood. Second, transport of respiratory gases from lungs to tissues. Third, gaseous exchange between blood and tissues. Fourth, transport of respiratory gases from tissues to lungs. As we know, breathing is something that we all do without usually realizing it. We breathe in and out about 22,000 times a day. We are powered by breathing. Our lungs fill us with oxygen, our body's life-sustaining gas. Our lungs breathe in air, then remove the oxygen and pass it through our bloodstream, where it's carried off to the tissues and organs that allow us to walk, talk, and move. Our lungs also take carbon dioxide from our blood and release it into the air when we breathe out. Queen Bee, do you have any idea about the video?
Regarding the video, it tells about breathing as a daily activity that involves our lungs releasing oxygen and carbon dioxide.
Yes, good job Queen Bee. The gaseous exchange in humans happens in the lungs between the alveoli and a network of tiny blood vessels called capillaries. So, let me explain to you how the gaseous exchange occurs in humans. Firstly, you must know that gas diffusion depends on the partial pressure difference between two areas. Before we go further, we need to know what is partial pressure. Partial pressure is a measure of the concentration of the individual components in a mixture of gases. This figure shows the partial pressure oxygen and carbon dioxide in the alveolus and blood capillary. In gaseous exchange, partial pressure refers to the pressure exerted by a specific gas within a mixture. This concept is vital in understanding the movement of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide in biological system. In the respiratory system, partial pressure gradients drive the diffusion of oxygen from the lungs into the blood and carbon dioxide from the blood into the lungs for exhalation. The concentration gradient created by partial pressures facilitates efficient gas exchange in tissues and respiratory surface. The gas diffuses from an area where its partial pressure is higher to an area where its partial pressure is lower, which is down a partial pressure gradient. You got it, Queen Bee?
Yes.
Let's continue our lesson. Gaseous exchange in humans occurs in two phases, which are: the first phase is external respiration. External respiration refers to the exchange of gases, which are oxygen and carbon dioxide, which occurs between the air and blood in the alveoli of the lungs. During gas exchange, oxygen moves from the lungs to the bloodstream. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes from the blood to the lungs. Here you see red blood cells traveling through the capillaries. The walls of the alveoli share a membrane with the capillaries. The layers of cell lining the alveoli and the surrounding capillaries are each only one cell thick and are in very close contact with each other. The gases such as oxygen passes quickly through this air-blood barrier into the blood capillaries. Similarly, carbon dioxide passes from the blood into the alveoli and is then exhaled. In the lungs, blood that enters the lung capillaries contains a higher partial pressure of carbon dioxide compared to the alveolus. The partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolus is higher than in the lung capillaries. Oxygen diffuses into the lung capillaries and combines with hemoglobin in erythrocytes to form oxyhemoglobin, where it travels to different tissues of the body and is used for the cellular respiration. Then, carbon dioxide diffuses out from the lung capillaries and into the alveolus before it is expelled into the atmosphere through the nose and mouth. The second phase is internal respiration. Internal respiration is the process of gases exchange between blood and body cells. Cellular respiration releases carbon dioxide. The partial pressure of carbon dioxide in cell is higher than tissue's capillaries. Carbon dioxide diffuses out from the body cells into the tissue capillaries and is transported back to the lungs. When blood reaches the tissues through the tissue's capillaries, the partial pressure of oxygen in the blood is higher than that of body cells because cellular respiration uses oxygen. Oxyhemoglobin breaks down and oxygen diffuses from the tissue's capillaries to the body cells. Next, let me explain to you about the transport of carbon dioxide in the blood circulatory system. There are three ways to transport carbon dioxide, which are: the first one, 70% is carried in the form of bicarbonate ion. Second, 23% carbon dioxide combined with hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin. Third, 7% is dissolved and carried as carbonic acid. During the transport of carbon dioxide from body cells to the tissue's capillaries, carbon dioxide released by the body cells bind with water in the erythrocyte to form carbonic acid. Then, the carbonic anhydrase enzyme in the erythrocyte catalyzes this reaction. Carbonic acid will break down into bicarbonate ion and hydrogen ion. Then, carbonate ion diffuses into the blood plasma and is carried to the lungs. During the transport of carbon dioxide from lung capillaries to the alveolus, when the bicarbonate ion in the blood plasma reaches the lung capillaries, it diffuses back into the erythrocyte. The bicarbonate ion combines again with a hydrogen ion to form carbonic acid. Carbonic acid then breaks down into carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide diffuses through the lung capillaries into the alveolus and is expelled during exhalation. So, I think I was covered all the topics today. Before we end our class, let's recap today's lesson. Quimby, can you summarize what we learned today?
Sure, teacher. Today, we have learned about the gases exchange in humans. First thing first, we learned that gas diffusion depends on the partial pressure of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Then, gases exchange is divided into two phases, which are external respiration and internal respiration. The last one, we learned about the transport of carbon dioxide from body cells to tissues capillaries and the transport of carbon dioxide from lung capillaries to the alveolus. Through this lesson, we know that oxygen is transported in the form of oxyhemoglobin, while carbon dioxide is transported in the form of bicarbonate ion and carbaminohemoglobin and carbonic acid.
Thank you, Quindi. So, students, I think that is all for today's lesson. Till meet you again in the next class. If you have any question regarding our lessons, please leave your question in the comment section below. Bye-bye!